James Cameron, the acclaimed filmmaker behind blockbuster hits like Titanic, Avatar, and the Terminator series, has long been a vocal advocate for the traditional cinematic experience. As someone who has himself claimed multiple Academy Awards, including Best Director for Titanic, Cameron believes strongly in preserving the integrity of what he sees as the true essence of motion pictures: the theatrical release. In recent discussions, he has elaborated on his stance regarding streaming giants like Netflix and their eligibility for prestigious awards such as the Oscars. According to Cameron, these platforms should not be allowed to compete in the Academy Awards unless they commit to genuine theatrical releases, rather than exploiting minimal requirements that feel more like loopholes. Cameron argues that the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has a responsibility to safeguard the concept of films as they were originally intended to be experienced: in theaters, on the big screen, surrounded by an audience. This shared communal viewing is something he grew up with and believes is worth defending passionately. He points out that allowing streaming services, which are backed by multi-billion-dollar corporations, to skirt around the rules undermines the very foundation of cinema. Instead of a token gesture such as a limited one-week run in just a handful of theaters simply to meet the bare minimum eligibility criteria, Cameron insists on a meaningful commitment to theatrical distribution. He emphasizes that this isn't about excluding streaming entirely but about fairness and respect for the medium. Streamers could absolutely participate in the Oscars if they embraced a dual approach, releasing films both in cinemas and on their platforms simultaneously or in a way that honors the theatrical window. Cameron has suggested specific parameters in the past, such as requiring a film to have a substantial run in around 2,000 theaters for at least a month to qualify as a legitimate contender. This, he believes, would level the playing field and prevent the awards from being dominated by entities that prioritize direct-to-home viewing over the traditional model. The director's comments stem from a broader concern about the evolving landscape of the film industry. With the rise of streaming during and after the pandemic, many films have bypassed theaters altogether, going straight to platforms like Netflix, which has produced critically acclaimed works such as Roma, The Irishman, and Marriage Story, all of which have garnered Oscar nominations and wins despite limited or no theatrical presence in some cases. Cameron sees this as a potential threat to the cultural significance of moviegoing. The magic of sitting in a darkened theater, hearing the collective gasps, laughter, or silence of an audience, is irreplaceable, he argues. It's not just about the screen size or sound system. It's about the ritual, the event, the way films were meant to connect people. Furthermore, Cameron acknowledges that opinions on this matter vary widely within the industry. Some filmmakers and executives welcome the democratization that streaming brings, allowing more diverse stories to reach global audiences without the constraints of box office performance. Others, like Cameron, worry that without protections, traditional cinemas could suffer irreversible damage. He doesn't outright dismiss streaming as a valid form of distribution. In fact, he recognizes its power and convenience. However, when it comes to the highest honors in filmmaking like the Oscars, there should be a distinction. The Academy Awards have historically celebrated excellence in cinema, and cinema, in Cameron's view, is inherently tied to theaters. This debate isn't new. It has been simmering for years as streaming services have invested heavily in original content, often poaching top talent and producing films that rival studio output in quality and ambition. Netflix, in particular, has pushed boundaries by securing nominations in major categories, proving that platform doesn't dictate artistic merit. Yet Cameron's point is structural. The rules should encourage or even require a commitment to theatrical exhibition to maintain the Oscars' prestige. He fears that without such safeguards, the awards could shift toward recognizing streaming-exclusive content predominantly, diluting their connection to the theatrical tradition. Cameron has reiterated these views in various interviews and podcasts, always framing it as a defense of cinema rather than an attack on innovation. He believes streamers should embrace cinema fully if they want to partake in its most celebrated accolades. By doing so, they could contribute to a hybrid future where both worlds coexist harmoniously. For instance, many films now adopt a strategy of theatrical release followed by streaming availability, benefiting from both revenue streams and wider accessibility. In the context of his own career, Cameron's films have always been spectacle-driven events designed for the biggest screens possible. The Avatar sequels, with their groundbreaking visual effects and immersive worlds, exemplify why theaters matter. Audiences flocking to see these movies in 3D or IMAX formats create a unique energy that home viewing can't replicate. It's this experience that Cameron wants to protect, ensuring that future generations understand and appreciate the power of cinema in its purest form. While some may disagree, viewing streaming as the future and theaters as relics of the past, Cameron's perspective resonates with many who cherish the history of film. The Oscars, after all, are about celebrating achievements in motion pictures, and motion pictures have traditionally meant theatrical ones. Changing the rules to accommodate new models is fine, but it should be done thoughtfully without exploiting gaps that favor one side disproportionately. Ultimately, James Cameron's stance is a call to action for the Academy to clarify and strengthen its eligibility criteria. By requiring substantial theatrical releases, the Oscars could continue to honor films that commit to the full cinematic journey, from production to exhibition. This wouldn't exclude streamers. It would simply ask them to play by the same rules that have defined excellence in filmmaking for decades.